Well, all right, kiddos, it's time to sharpen up those edges and grease up your chains. We are going to live it up with mountain life. Dropping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, all right, mountain lifers, mountain lovers, those who move mountains with your minds. This is Feet Banks, and welcome to Live It Up with Mountain Life. Today we have Brett freaking Tippie on the show, so strap in, buckle up, stay hydrated, and get ready. It's going to be a wild ride. But first, on the subject of mountain biking, I got a memo the other day from the boss, from a few rungs up the mountain life ladder, and apparently he had fielded a little feedback about the pod, a little constructive criticism. Now, I know the cat who sent the email originally, so I don't want to use too pissy of a voice here, but the basis of it was about our intro. Apparently, you don't grease chains, you grease bearings. And with chains, of course, you lube them up. And yeah, okay, I suppose that makes sense. In the old days, of course, we all just used WD-40, invented in 1953. And before that, who knows? Maybe it was grease, maybe coconut oil. But yes, of course, nothing would make me happier than getting our fantastically talented friend Shirai Rules to sit down in front of a microphone and say, it's time to sharpen those edges and lube up your chains, right? That's a fantastic idea. But Shirai is busy right now. She's out there feeling kind of groovy, working on a movie, and that takes priority over redoing something she's already done for us. But I will see if I can make that happen because we hate to be wrong. Even when it shows the warmth of human error. As well, of course, coconut oil is a fantastic natural lube, so don't be afraid to try that either. So what I'm really trying to say here is when you look at what we're doing out there, what I'm doing, what you're doing, what are we really doing? And are we maybe taking it a bit too seriously? If we're arguing linguistic semantics with podcasters or dumping on people for not nailing the grab or for having a little wash on the landing or not having the right colored shirt on and blending into the trees, which of course is painful when you're a photographer and the athlete shows up to shoot in an evergreen forest with a jacket that's literally color named forest green. Yes. But at the same time, it might be that we're taking it that seriously because we made what we're doing out there into work. We made it into a job, or even worse, the path to a job where we'll claw over each other for a chance to get paid to do this thing we love forever. Except it isn't going to be forever, is it? If you're an athlete, you're lucky if it's 10 years. Industry people, sure, it can go on for a while. But how much of that time is sitting at a desk? How many of those meetings that could have been emails are you suffering through, staring out the window, remembering what it felt like to be out there, to be ready the moment adventure called? Trust me, I fight this battle almost every day. And that thing you love, how long till you don't love it as much as you did? Or worse, how long till it starts to feel like work? How long till you get crusty about this thing you love? I don't know. It doesn't always go like that, but it doesn't never go like that either. I think it's getting better than it used to be, but this thing we love, when we turn it into an industry, it can definitely eat its own young, and it can spit us out. That's okay though. There's an exit strategy, right? Maybe not. So I think the trick is to remember what got you started, got all of us started in the first place. What threw us into this mountain life, this constant search, these trips and travels and midnight missions, was that it's fun, right? It's really freaking fun. And it's supposed to be fun. That's why we do it. Sure, there can be some suffering in there too, but that only makes the fun parts funner. So let's make sure the fun parts are in there. Let's make sure we don't take it all too seriously. Because most of us will never be pro, and probably a lot of us don't want to be. So let's just relax, man, and just get out there and have some fun. Our guest today is a legend. Brett Tippie is a pioneering Canadian snowboarder and one of the founders of freeride mountain biking. A huge star with a huger personality, Tippie's a trailblazer and an innovator. But even he had to face down the dark side of turning your passion into profession. And it wasn't always easy. Tippie fought through the chaos of life on the road and being the life of the party. He took the hits from constantly having to step it up in an era when progression was a holy word. He knows what it feels like to be suddenly replaced by someone faster, younger, more marketable. He's been there when the fun drains away. And that journey has been discussed before at length. But all you need to know right now is he made it. These days, Brett Tippie doesn't need any help having fun. He doesn't need a retirement plan because he's been a professional athlete and a media personality for over 30 years in 2 sports, and he's still just getting going. A couple of years past level 50 now, Tippie shows no signs of slowing down. His jokes are funnier, his smile is brighter, and he's having more fun than anyone. I caught up with Brett Tippie earlier this summer, just before he was about to launch the Brett Tippie Podcast, and we had a real nice time together. We had fun. Check it out.
Hello and welcome to the Mountain Life Podcast. I'm Feet Banks. No, I'm not. I'm Brett Tippie. You're Feet Banks.
I am Feet Banks. This is Live It Up with Mountain Life. We are excited today. We've got Brett Tippie live in the studio. There's already been a flurry of jokes, and we're in
sound
for
checks. Check 1, 2.
We're in for a king hell doozy of an afternoon.
Do you know what? I have a Polish friend who's a sound technician, and a check 1, 2.
This is what we're going to expect today. Tippie, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how's it going? Things are going well. You survived the plague.
I'm alive. I'm still here. My family's happy and healthy, and just hanging out in the woods like normal. So it's like not really skipping a beat.
Yeah, well, by the time this thing goes to air, you will have launched a new podcast of your own. Tell me about that. What's it called? How did it come about?
Well, I have a new podcast coming out with my partner, Mark Warner, and my wife, Sarah Fenton. And it's called the Brett Tippie Podcast. And I was in Whistler at Crankworks, and a fellow said, dude, you should do your own podcast. I do skier podcasts, and you would kill this. And I was like, oh, yeah, I've been thinking about it. He goes, I'll help you. Anything behind the scenes, I can do. And I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. Let's talk about it sometime. And so I lost contact with the fellow. Then he just reached out to me about a year ago and said, hey, are you still interested in a podcast? And I'm like, oh, you're that guy.
And this is Mark Warner from the Low Pressure Podcast.
He does the Low Pressure Podcast for skiers.
Yeah.
He's done over 200 now. Red Bull ranked him top 10 in all action sports podcasts. And we've been working together. I've got 10 in the bag so far with some rock star mountain bikers. It's going to be mostly mountain biking to start off with.
Yeah. Well, it's also, we're coming into mountain bike season, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, so far we've got like Wade Simmons and Jeff Gulovich, Thomas Vanderham, Andreas Hessler, Christian Beijing.
Nice.
Who you have had already, I believe, on this show.
We had him talking about skiing, and now there's leaves on the trees. We'll see how the skiing podcast plays in May or June. But
yeah, totally.
So was it easy for you to step into this new media format? Obviously, you've done tons of video stuff. Were there big challenges, or how did it go the first couple ones?
No, it was actually quite natural. It's a conversation with your friends, and I've done a lot of on-mic work, on camera, mostly, with CTV Sportsnet, doing the World Cup of snowboarding, once I retired from World Cup racing myself. And then I did CTV, the Sacred Ride TV show for 4 years. And then, I've done over a decade with Pink Bike doing interviews and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable with the mic. I like to say I love the mic and the mic loves me.
It's a truer words have never been spoken. So yeah, you've been it's got to be at least a decade then of sort of transitioning from Brett Tippie the athlete to Brett Tippie the personality. Is it more than 10 years, or it feels like?
I would say longer, just because I retired from World Cup racing in 2000 as the Canadian border cross pro champ. I might add.
Yeah, which
self plug. And then I started doing the CTV Sportsnet stuff. But, I was always, I was still continuing as being a mountain bike athlete. And then I started really transitioning when I got a job. Stu Mackay-Smith set me up to do daily reports from Crankworks.
Yeah.
And Whistler Creek Productions had me do daily reports. And then I started doing more and more. And Julian Coffey, who was the publisher of Pink Bike forever, had me do, a lot of on-camera stuff and went to the World Championships and started covering Rampage and, like all the Crankworks, obviously, and Whistler Bike Park opening day and a bunch of different stuff. So I would say, strong media transition for about 10 years, but started about 20 years ago.
Did you do anything like this back when you were a kid, coming out of Kamloops? You were a tough kid. I've heard stories about how you could headbutt guys in the face and stuff like that.
With helmets on.
Yeah, football.
Football.
Were you into any of this sort of drama or theater or any of these stuff that would have eventually turned out like this?
I actually did drama in junior high, and I had a teacher that would give me like an A one semester, then the next I would get like a C minus or a D, and then an A and then a C minus. I was all over the place, however she was feeling.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the drama, and I also actually did the local improv in the Festival of the Arts, and I hooked up with these two dudes. One dude is actually a director on the Canadian theater tour,
right? And
the other is a musician. But they were very artsy, very creative, very animated.
And this was back when you were like a teenager?
This is in junior high school.
Yeah.
And so in grade 8, 9, and 10, we won first place all 3 years in the local Festival of the Arts improv competition, where they just give you a phrase and they would, have a few minutes to make something up and then would just wing it on stage. And so I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
Being quick on your feet and, trying to be entertaining.
Yeah.
And create a little quick story out of nothing. And so that was kind of a spark for being on stage or on camera, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think it's, the Tippie origin story coming out of Kamloops as an athlete is well known. I was surprised to learn about your artistic side. And of course, now, your wife's an artist. Both your daughters are pumping out incredible artwork. But you also were even like selling T-shirts and stuff and your own designs when you were in high school, or?
Not quite in high school. I was drawing always. I was a very voracious drawer. I was really into Heavy Metal magazine.
Oh, of course.
Cartoons.
Yeah.
Muscle cars and 4x4s and, the hot babes and heavy metal with armor and swords and sword and sorcery. And so I always drew stuff like that, as well as like action sports. But actually, once I graduated, I started hand painting T-shirts with using embroidery pens, which were like little toothpaste tubes with a big fat ballpoint tip.
Right.
And I found some at a garage sale and then started buying some at the local store and started drawing on the shirts. And then I would paint the backgrounds, and then I'd start airbrushing them to cover more real estate quickly. And I would buy 100 blank T-shirts for $5 each, and then sell them for $35. Or maybe 50 if there was artwork on both sides.
Right.
I'd had my own little weird writing around the neck was one of my characteristics for a while there. I called it Tippie-glyphics. And I would do custom T-shirts. And I would travel sometimes to other countries with my Gore-Tex and clothes and sporting equipment. But I'd also bring this bag of blank T-shirts, and I would do custom shirts on the road, for beer money, or I'd trade some for skydiving. Or
you were already competing in snowboard and biking then with this? Or?
Yeah, I was competing, racing professionally, snowboarding, and I was, free riding on the mountain bike, doing stupid stuff and trying to see what was possible. But supporting it, through tree planting and a little bit of busing in restaurants or pruning trees in the woods or whatever I could, do to make money.
T-shirt sales.
Because I was like a pro snowboarder, racing pro, but it was racing, and racing didn't really make a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
So I supported it with the art. And I actually went through my receipts, and I did 1,750 individual one-of-a-kind shirts that have been sold around the world. And what's really cool is, like, years later now, I'll run into someone,
right,
and they'll be like, dude, I bought a shirt for you in New Zealand in 1991. I was in Chamonix 5 years later, and someone saw the shirt that I was wearing of yours and said, hey, you know Brett Tippie? And I was like, yeah, I do. Hey, we're going to this certain mountain, and I got a key to the gate, and we're going to go do this weekend ski. You want to come? Yeah, sure. And then people have this crazy adventure and start a friendship, and in a series of adventures that all was instigated by someone recognizing one of my T-shirts.
The Tippie Street Kid pass.
Yeah, I find that fascinating.
That's cool. I mean, it shows the community, isn't that huge, even though the whole world...
The world is huge, but the mountain world and the sporting world is quite small compared to, how many people are really in the world. So, I love the art. My dad was an incredible artist, and he was a school teacher, but he was a watercolor artist, as well as he did a lot of woodwork and crafts and many different things. But he would sell his watercolors. And he was Kamloops People's Choice Artist of the Year many years in the newspaper. And I still get pictures of people send me photos of different Fred Tippie art.
Cool,
paintings
cool.
that they find in dentist's office or in various different places that they travel to, and they send it to me. And it's a memory to my dad who passed away in 2007, and I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like it's definitely carrying on down the lineage.
Yeah, totally. And an interesting story is, my dad, like I said, not only did the artwork, but he also did the wood crafts. And I just got my daughter a motorcycle the other day, as well as myself and my wife one, and it made me think back to a story, because in our living room, there's a rocking horse that my dad made. I helped him, but he made it. And when I was in high school, he would take me with him and would cruise around to motorcycle shops, and they would throw out the crates that the motorcycles came in, and it was like beautiful hardwood, teak, and all these different hardwoods. And he threw it out back in the day.
Yeah.
And we would go pick these up from the garbage, and I was always embarrassed. I'm like, what if some hot girl from school sees me rummaging around the garbage? And I was like, self-conscious teenager.
Yeah, with my dad.
And I had my hood on, and I'd load up these crates, and he'd go back and he'd make me sand them, and then he would take them and turn them into rocking horses or tables or clocks or recipe holders or all different things. And then he would sell them at craft sales and farmers markets.
Yeah.
And I remember doing this for quite a while. And I remember one day I was on the couch watching Happy Days, and my dad came on and he goes, "Hey, help me unload something from the truck, please." I'm like, "Dad, I'm watching Happy Days." And he's like, "Come help me unload something from the truck." I'm like, "Dad, I gotta see if Fonzie's gonna jump the shark pit." And he's like, "It's a rerun. You know he does." I'm like, okay. Grumpy teenager. And I stomp out there. And in the back of the truck, there wasn't a pile of wooden crates. There was a motorcycle he had bought with the money he'd saved from all the stuff that he'd made from the motorcycle crates they would picked up.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm sorry, Dad.
Yeah, full circle there.
Yeah. So now I've got my daughter a little motorcycle that I'm going to teach her how to ride, and it's kind of made me go full circle in my life. Although she had it way easier, didn't have to really help me go to any garbage just to pick up motorcycle crates. But
yeah. Well, that's the next generation gets it easier than the last, right?
Yeah. So, back in our day, it was so tough. Yeah.
We got tarred and feathered at school, right?
Both ways.
I mean, we won't talk about art the whole pod here, but do you feel like that sort of artist sensibility and that, having grown up in an artist household, did that help you with either of your careers in biking or snowboarding, or just, kind of figuring out how to grow up and approach those sports?
Well, definitely, because a lot of my job, as a racer, when you're on the clock, it doesn't really help. Yeah. Because it's just, the clock doesn't lie, and it's how fast you. But on the free riding side, your job is to get exposure. And, when you shoot a video, you hopefully try and do it fast or smooth. But when you're actually trying to get stills, it helps if you have a good eye to work with the photographer, and you can spot things that are going to work for you, and, maybe make some suggestions if the photographer is, open to, working together. Some people have their own vision, and they're like, do this, do that, I want you here. And some people are like, what do you think? And you're like, well, I could hit that outside corner right there, and then it's got that in the background and this and that, and you kind of help compose the shots when you're really jamming and working together in a good symbiotic relationship. And, having an eye for composition and balance and color and light definitely helps you do your job better. And, in this day and age, when you're not always working with pro photographers or amateur photographers, you're taking your iPhone out and you're shooting your wife, or your wife shooting you, or you're shooting yourself, just to keep up the constant barrage of media
the hunger
in this day of social media. And so as an artist, you're kind of like a built-in photographer, from all that history of doing art and appreciating art.
Yeah. I think about sort of I don't want to say your early days, but the early days of free ride mountain biking blowing up. And I know you were living with Blake and working with Blake a lot as he was coming up.
Me and Richie discovered him. We're like, hey, this guy's pretty good. Like, we should bring him on a trip. So we went to Turkey. And
this is Blake Jorgensen, for those of you that don't, to me, Blake's like Prince. He's a one-name kind of guy.
Blake.
But so
Madonna.
You took him to Turkey, one of his early trips.
Turkey, and then I learned the power of Blake. Like, Richie was a single guy at the time, and he was always trying to meet the girls and working it, very confident and conversation, mastermind. But Blake would just sit there by himself, and then he would just like look over and raise an eyebrow, and then all the girls would just be drawn to Blake. And I was just like, how does he do it? He's not even trying.
Awesome.
It was awesome though. But yeah, we went to Turkey with Blake, and he killed it. Amazing photographer, and he had the gift.
Yeah, from early on. Yeah.
And it was funny on that trip. I saw someone try to pickpocket Richie, who's quite short, and I couldn't believe how someone could.
Like it was
low.
It was a small kid, or
I don't know how someone could stoop so low.
I think about those early years, and I know there's a famous story of you, not having the money to go to a summer camp on the glacier and just camping out at the bottom of the Seventh Heaven chairlift.
Yes,
and riding up.
True story.
Now it feels like we've lost that summer camp scene on the glacier. The glaciers receded enough.
Are mostly gone.
What do you think that means? I mean, for the sports, but also, for those, those young kids that would come to Whistler as a 15-year-old, and then as soon as they, do those glacier thing, and then as soon as they graduated, they'd be back. And that was sort of, the birth of all those cultures, right? Freestyle skiing, snowboarding, not mountain biking so much, but yeah, maybe just reflect on the glacier, and what do you think is going to happen now that we don't have that glacier scene?
Well, people are going to have to go to Mount Hood, which still has some skiing down there and snowboarding for training in the summer. It's sad because there's been so many great memories created up there and skills that have been honed here in the corridor and at Whistler, our Black home, I guess.
Friendships made, professional
memories and training and revenue for the businesses and everything, right?
Yeah.
And it's sad because, it shows, I guess it's global warming, it's the glaciers shrinking, and we used to shred that. And, as you get older, you kind of get used to it, like shrinking a little bit. It's like you look yourself in the mirror and you don't realize you're getting older, but then you take a look at a photo from back then and you're like, oh my God, I'm old.
Yeah.
And then you look at the glacier and you're like, oh my God, it used to be huge. I remember that. And it's sad to see it wither away.
Yeah.
And, I guess there is something to this global warming thing because there's some evidence right there in front of your eyes, right? And it's sad because that was a full little culture that happened in the summer of shredding snow.
And, kids would save up or their parents would save up, the whole year to send your kid to 1 week of camp in the summer. And I have people asking me from back east, like, what's it like out there? Is it still possible for a lower middle class kid to like leave after they finish their final exam in high school and drive to Whistler in a van and make it as a professional biker or a professional snowboarder? And I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say because I'm an adult, I'm down here, but yeah, you're still pretty in touch with both sports. Are you seeing these, kids kind of replicating those stories that you'd hear of Dana Flair, driving out from Kamloops, or of you coming out for summers and then bouncing back and forth? And is that still happening? Are we at risk of losing that sort of working class element in these sports?
Well, no, I think, there's still desire that's out there and talent, and you don't always know when it's going to be. And, you definitely have an advantage if you have, parents who are affluent and have the money to let you do nothing but, train and ride and ski, snowboard, mountain bike, whatever you want to do, whatever you're focusing on, with the right equipment. You can go through rims and shocks and just keep on hammering. There's no downtime because, it's paid for. But, when you earn it yourself and the desire and heart is there, that will never die. And I think there will always be some talent that is just, some people are just, forces of nature, and they will not be denied. They have a dream and people chase their dreams, and there is still a strong contingent of that. I've seen people, like Gabriel Nera is a young kid who, I think he was the youngest level 3 ski instructor in Canada. His dad's a level 4, his mom's a level 3. And, he's rode a little bit of dirt bikes as a kid, but couldn't really afford the dirt bike. And the parents were ski instructors, so they weren't sending him dirt bike racing. Yeah. He got into mountain biking. Boom! He's like racing pro in 3 years. And he won a few races on the BC Cup and Canada Cup. And he he won Rookie of the Year. And he's just insanely fast, and he works so hard. And I see kids like that are killing it.
Yeah.
And then, I think maybe more in the free riding world, there might be more chances of people who can go out and do their own thing without the stringent training of gates and on the clock. But
Yeah.
I think it's still possible, but it is tough to compete with people who come from money.
Yeah.
Of course. But, those kids need a chance too, just because they're the poor little rich kid. Hey, they've got their own pressures. Everyone's got their own stories that are challenging.
Yeah.
And I think it'd probably be more challenging to not have money to have too much then.
I think about the equipment and think about your first mountain bike compared to, the bikes that your daughters are riding.
Yeah. Oh, it's not even like I would die for one of their little bikes that they had when they were 6.
Yeah, totally.
I had my little girl on a full suspension little shredder and then onto Spawn bicycles.
Yeah.
That were like full suspension, disc brakes, everything worked. It's just good angles. And I was on things where if you jumped over, the garbage cans out in the street, you're going to bend the bars and you're going to skin your knees and your elbows and your hands because that bike is not going to make it.
Yeah.
But you're going to Evel Knievel it anyways.
And somehow you guys still made it, though,
Still
right?
made it. Yeah, still here.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely an advantage with today's equipment, and kids watch videos, they see what's possible. That's the level playing ground, and then people just take it a level higher every generation. Right?
Yeah.
So it's only natural that things are going to get better and bigger and badder, which does make it harder to make it as a professional in any sport.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, the meteoric rise of these, sports that have kind of come around in our lifetime as opposed to like, biathlon or something like that that's been around forever.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. My wife is always saying, like, how are these people who are, raised on extreme sports going to be when they're older? Like, people have always been giving her, there's always guys doing rodeo and
yeah, totally.
hockey and missing teeth. There's always been tough guys. There's always been tough ladies doing whatever sports they're doing.
Yeah.
But with the action sports, with like, skis attached to your legs and knees and jumping off cliffs and stuff, I wonder how the people are going to deal with it when you get older and the arthritis sets in. And
yeah.
I'd be
Well,
curious to see.
I mean, you're up over level 50 now and you're still giving her pretty good.
Level 52. Not trying to age gracefully, trying to rage gracefully.
Stewie McKay-Smith said, part of it is you're just, you don't get hurt like a regular human would. You're just a thick, dense, strong guy. But what are some of the injuries you've had to come through? Like I've seen you go down
lucky.
pretty hard.
Yeah, I've eaten a lot of shit. And in the last couple of years, I've sustained, a dislocated shoulder in an avalanche, and I blew my MCL. I separated both shoulders in the last couple of years. This last winter, I dislocated my elbow, which is the most structural damage I've ever had.
Yeah.
Because for years, I'd get stitches.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Whatever, flesh
Bounce
wounds.
back.
I've had hundreds of stitches. Can't even count how many stitches I've had. Maybe the odd sprain here, but concussions and no structural damage.
Yeah, yeah.
And people would be getting hurt, and I would be like, "Oh, that sucks, buddy." And they're just like, "Yeah, whatever. You don't even know. You're like an alien." Some of my friends hate me because I would never get hurt. I would ragdoll it over 100 Ks.
Yeah.
And get up, and go, blah, blah, blah,
Totally.
and go. I've fallen off 40-foot cliffs.
Yeah.
And got up and then gone down the line again. I've been so lucky, and I'm actually quite flexible, which I think helps.
Yeah, yeah. Have you got a routine or something now that you do, or is it just a natural Gumby ability?
You know what? I just do the basic hamstring stretch and just kind of just stretch the, reach for the stars and to the side. Just a basic. I basically do my old football basic stretch that I did in high school and cover the major muscle groups. Nothing too stringent. I don't do yoga. Maybe I probably should, but just a basic stretch. And if I feel tight, then I'd stretch.
Yeah.
A little bit before, a little bit after. Not religiously, but enough to work, I guess. And I try and do push-ups and some crunches on a somewhat regular basis. I think which helps keeps everything tight. And I kind of ache if I don't do push-ups.
Yeah.
Because I have damaged my shoulders. And so, you got to keep the hot bod because I got a hot wife. I want to keep looking good.
Yeah, well, you got to, yeah. Yeah. So, you're a high energy guy. You don't do yoga. What does your downtime look like? What do you do to relax? I always think of Eric Peyote says, I sit down to eat and I lie down to sleep. And other than that, I got shit to do, right? But,
yeah.
But what do you cozy up by the fire with a book or watch movies or what does your downtime look like?
I don't really watch TV, although I try and watch some programs that my oldest daughter's interested, just to bond with her and enjoy it. So I'll watch some, Hero Academia with her, which she's into, and we like Marvel movies, so I'll watch that. But otherwise, I don't really watch TV. I'm too busy. Like I got shit to do. As Eric's got it dialed. I do like to when I chill. Do I chill? What's chill? Let me think about this. I must chill sometimes. No, when I'm not giving her, I sleep. I don't sleep that much, but when I do sleep, I sleep well. And I can sleep anywhere. I can sleep right here and just fall asleep right now if I wanted to, which is a nice trait to have. A skill when you're traveling.
Especially as you're getting older, too.
You're traveling or you got some downtime, just boom, charge up and then get up and go again. I don't read like I used to. I used to be a voracious reader. Sometimes I'll draw. You know what I like to do when I chill is play Frisbee. I just like to have a game of Frisbee.
Yeah.
Disc, just throw the disc back and forth. I got one with a light, so, I can play anytime. I always make people play with me.
Yeah.
Like, it's dark, and I'm like, oh, my Frisbee has a light on it. Let's go. I don't know how many people are out there have made play Frisbee with me, but...
I remember in the old days, when those were first invented, we were like trying to get pictures and tell all the kids at school it's a UFO. And
yeah, totally.
Most of your childhood was spent in Kamloops, right? It's been fairly well documented, but an incredible town of producing athletes.
Amazing.
Why do you think that is? Is it something in the water, or is it just
what we joke about?
The culture of the town, or?
Something in the water. We've discussed this, and it's definitely the topography of the town. The terrain is amazing, and it's got a blue collar element. So there's like a lot of people who, are physical. Their parents are loggers or miners or ranchers, and so there's a hard work ethic, and you're tough because you're doing physical, gnarly jobs.
Yeah,
and so that rubs off on your friends and your family. As well, I think a thing that really does help is the size of the town, is that it's big enough to have sporting events and sporting stores, get good equipment, but it's not so big that there's like major metropolitan distractions, like a lot of concerts and shows and theaters and movies and things to go to. Sports is basically what you do to be cool and to stand out from the crowd so you can, meet a member of the opposite sex. Or the same sex or whatever you're into, but to stand out and be cool. And if in Kamloops, if you're a sports star, you're cool. And so I think the size of the town creates good competition between people in team sports growing up, as well as the outdoor sports of skiing and biking and dirt biking and jet skiing and all the different things that people do. And it's close enough to like the main route through Canada, the Trans-Canada, that you can get down to Whistler. You can go to Banff or to
competitions.
To competitions or good places to rip.
I always hear about a rivalry, Kamloops versus Kelowna. Is that was that something when you were a kid? Were you on, like, I know you mentioned football. Were you playing against other towns on those team sports, or had you kind of shifted into snowboarding by the time that would have got intense?
I was always bros with the Kelowna crew when I was snowboarding. I was competitive with anyone from any other mountain.
Yeah.
Because, you want to win. And there's fast guys from Kelowna for sure. Fast guys from everywhere. And girls. And as far as football goes, I was on the Kamloops Red Devils, and we played Premier League, the Double A top league, and the other Double A Premier League teams were all in Vancouver, Notre Dame, and Van College, and various different teams. So there was only two teams from the interior that were in the Double A Premier League, us in Westside, and so we didn't really compete against Kelowna. Although we did play them in rugby, and we won the Okanagan Championships. We beat Rutland just outside of Kelowna for the Okanagan Championships. And that was a very stressful time for me, actually, because they put me in a different position for the final big game of the year. I was always like a break on the edge of the scrum.
Yeah.
And they put me as fullback. And so all of a sudden, I was like fielding kicks, and it was triple overtime. And I'm way back with myself. Their star player breaks free from everybody, and it's him racing for a try to break the overtime, and it's only me. And he's racing down. He's their number one player. He's fast, and it's like all slow motion.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is a make or break moment for my whole life.
Yeah, yeah.
And he runs in and he's running right at me and then he dekes that way and he goes that way and I read it right, luckily, and I tackled him and brought him down just before he scored, and then we got the ball, and then our star player got the ball, and then we scored and we won the Okanagan Championship.
And you were a hero.
Well, Jimmy was the hero because he scored,
Right,
but
right.
Behind the scenes, I was the hero because I saved the.
When you talk about that slow motion feeling and the intensity of that team sport moment, is that similar to what happens to you when you're on your bike or on your snowboard at the top of a line? Is it a similar experience between?
Very similar, yeah. It's that. I don't know why things seem to go slow motion, just because it's so intense, and maybe you're hitting different parts of the brain, but it's weird sometimes. Whether it was team sports or action sports, I'll remember things so crisply and clearly in slow motion and can play it back and forth in my head perfectly. Or at the same time or at different times, meaning I can't remember anything.
Right.
From certain moments, like it'll go either way. I can remember it perfectly clear or not at all, and it's just a strange time of those car crash moments type thing, where it's all this like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just,
yeah. And then I mean, obviously your memory's good. How many you remember every joke you've ever heard, or do they go in phases where you have a 30 that you're going to milk for this year, and then
I remember the ones that I like.
Right.
Yeah. And well, I forget ones that I like too, I guess. I like Mitch Hedberg. He says, you know what? I have to have a pen to write down, funny things when I think of them. And if I don't have a pen, then I have to convince myself that what I thought of wasn't funny. I'll remember a lot of jokes. I've hit my head a lot over the years, and, I've done a lot of drugs. So I probably don't remember all the jokes that I once knew. And I remember actually tree planting. The best retention I probably ever had was driving to work. And, you start tree planting down low in the valleys. So you're like 5-10 minutes to work. And then as the summer goes on, the snow melts. You go further and further from the camp to get to the work site.
Yeah.
It was 2 hours and 5 minutes to get to work. And me and this guy named Jeff, tall, thin fellow, who's a very fast planter, planted a couple thousand trees a day. He knew a lot of jokes. And we went back and forth for 2 hours and 5 minutes, back and forth, 1-to-1, like a tennis game.
Every single day?
No, on this one drive.
Oh, okay.
2 hours and 5 minutes there. And then when planting, I think I saw him, at lunch, we were bagged up and wolfed some sandwiches and told about 10 minutes of jokes at midday, back and forth, 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And then 2 hours and 5 minutes back at the end of the day, without missing a beat, back and forth, tennis game. And then another 15 minutes of the cook tent, back and forth, like a tennis game, just that would never end.
Crazy.
And then finally he faltered, and I got 2 jokes in a row, and won the tennis game.
Where was that guy from?
I never knew where that guy was from. I met him at the ski hill, and he came planting with our crew, and he was a funny dude. But it was. I've never had a retention moment of joke expulsion like that. But no matter how good you get at tennis, you're never as good as a wall.
I mean, I know we had you on the cover of the magazine a couple years ago, as a snowboarder.
Thank you for that. Yeah, that was my first snowboard cover ever. I was so stoked.
Your snowboard career is nowhere near finished, right? You're still bagging a lot of shots. What's is snowboarding, as fun as it was back when you were competing, or is it more fun now that you've also got the biking to balance it out? Or like how do you feel the balance between the two sports? Do you get pulled one direction more one year and less the other?
Dude, I don't know if I'm a mountain biker that snowboards or a snowboarder that mountain bikes.
Yeah.
Like I'm paid to mountain bike, and I'm in the Mountain Bike Hall of Fame, and I've done a lot of first descents, and I've done, I'm not a great, amazing professional rider by any means, but I got guts, and I've put myself into situations and made some.
Yeah.
And I race professionally snowboarding, but I think I'm actually more of a snowboarder.
Yeah.
I'm really a snowboarder that has a wicked summer job mountain biking.
Yeah.
Like, if I had to give up one, I would give up snowboarding to feed my family and mountain bike. But if it didn't matter, if I was like an independent gazillionaire, I'd go ride deep pow with a helicopter.
Yeah.
I just love powder. I'm just addicted to it.
And it's softer when you fall.
And it's softer when you fall.
Yeah.
And it's only there for a little bit, and every time is different. I love mountain biking, don't get me wrong. I love it with everything I got. And I love bicycles. But snowboarding is, I get up early, and I have a snowmobile that I can get out to the backcountry, or I go to the lifts, or do a little bit of spitboarding, usually the snowmobile.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, man. I can't get enough of it. I'm addicted. Like, I'm 52 and I'm chomping and frothing at the bits. As soon as the leaves start turning, I'm like, whoa, triggered. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like October, and I'm like thinking about it. And my buddy Marcus Riga, the photographer, I sent him a text, and I text, winter's coming, and he's like, dude, come on, already? Oh man, stop it!
Is he as keen? Because I know, we run a story about him and his summer solstice solo rides.
He's keen.
He's as keen of a snowboarder as he is in biking, or
well, he's a skier. He was a snowboarder,
he's a
but
skier.
he's been a skier for a long time now. He's always getting after it, and he's crazy. Like, he will go, like, I'll get to Cyprus, say, for instance.
Yeah.
Before first chair, and I'll be in the line for first chair, and then I'll see him in the line, hey. And I go, it's going to be a good day. And he goes, it's already a good day. I go, did you skin up the mountain and ski a power run already? He's like, twice.
He's a machine.
Yeah, and I'm just like looking at him like, you're a freak. He is a machine. I've never met anyone actually probably as fit and as diehard as that.
Yeah.
On his bike, he goes out with like Olympic endurance athletes, and he's climbing up with his camera pack, and sometimes he will match or drop Olympic endurance athletes.
Yeah, with a camera bag.
With a camera bag. He's just a freak. So this one time, there's a thing on the North Shore called the Triple Crown, where you ride up and down all three North Shore mountains.
Yeah.
Seymour, Frome, and Cypress. And so he goes, hey, can I park my car at your house at like 3:30 in the morning and leave it there for the day? I'm like, yeah, sure. What are you doing? He goes, you know the Triple Crown? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I'm doing the high fiver. I'm like, the high fiver? And he goes, yeah, I'm going to do Seymour, Frome, up and down, Cypress, up and down, up to the ski hill and down.
Yeah.
Back to Frome, up and down Frome, back to Seymour, up and down Seymour. So I rode with him up Seymour on my e-bike.
Yeah.
And then went back down and went to bed. He went and rode all 5 mountains, and he came back. He left at 4 a.m, dipped his water in Deep Cove, went and did all 5 mountains up and down, and then came back and got back to my place at 9:30 at night.
Savage.
On 3 potatoes, a little bag of beef jerky.
And a lemon. I seen he likes to eat a lemon.
And and a lemon. And
Well, I mean, thankfully you had the e-bike, right?
Yeah,
And
that's nice.
And then now you have something new going on, an e-bike site or something. What's going on with that?
Oh, wow, yeah. So myself and Julian Coffey, who is the publisher of pinkbike.com for almost a decade, have started our own e-bike website called allshrednodread.com. And it's basically just stories and interviews and a little bit of tech done with his, creative computer ways.
Yeah.
I think he spent about 120 hours making the website, and we're just creating content right now, and it just went live.
Nice.
So it's allshrednodread.com. We've got an Instagram page at allshrednodread, and we're making a go of that, trying to create some cool e-bike content.
Yeah, and give e-bikers a place to hang out.
To hang out, yeah. Like, if you want to know about batteries, if you want to know about that, you can go on the forums.
Yeah.
If you want to post some stories, if you want to read about different adventures. And
has there been any pushback from the diehards? I mean, the pedigree of you two guys is pretty, built into the sport. But I know there are a lot of people, less and less every year, it seems. But
less and less all the time. Yeah, I haven't had any pushback from anybody. You might see the odd guy, and go, cheater.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I didn't know it was a race.
Yeah.
Or like, I went for a ride the other day, and some guy, gray-haired fellow, rode by, and he went, motorbikes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey, how's it going? I was in the midst already saying, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, yeah, they are. I'm going to go get 3 downhills or 4 downhills. Enjoy your 1 downhill.
Also, motorbikes are awesome, and these ones are quiet.
Are awesome. Yeah, totally. I like all bikes.
I always think about Bjorn, right? Bjorn Enga, who's been banging the e-bike drum for ages, right? And
with the cranked e-bikes.
Exactly, again, the same as you guys were with free ride mountain biking. He's like, well, just wait till people try it, right?
Everyone comes around. Yeah. You know what? Like, when you make waves and do new things, there's always going to be people, the stalwarts, who are stuck in the mud and resistant to change.
Yeah.
And then the people who want to change things are, the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are usually the ones that do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm totally into it. Like, I love my regular bikes, don't get me wrong, but I've got my e-bike, and I love that too. It's another e-bike. I have like all mountain bikes, an enduro bike, a downhill bike, an e-bike, I just got a dirt bike. I have a Harley Davidson. I'm doing demos for Trev Dealey Motorcycles, Harley Davidson dealership. And so I'm riding a Harley. So I'm riding mountain bikes, e-bikes, motorbikes, all bikes. Love bikes.
Yeah, anything with two wheels.
Anything with two wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference between a well-dressed man on a bicycle and a poorly dressed man on a unicycle?
I don't know.
A tire.
So it's hard to say what's going to happen. As we talk here, the plague is still affecting everyone, and we can't go eat inside a restaurant. But what's your summer look like? I know usually you're off at junior competition events and hosting races and stuff. And yeah, is the summer pretty up in the air for you this year, or what's the next few months looking like?
Yeah, it's not anything what it's normally like. Normally I do anywhere from 170 to 180 days on the road.
Yeah.
Hitting, BC Cup downhill, Canada Cup downhill, Crankworks, Rampage, various different coaching and guest guiding things in Peru or shoots in Chile or globetrotting.
Yeah.
And luckily my wife holds down the fort very well with my children, and that enables me to go out and travel and do shoots and announcing gigs. So it's not anywhere, like what it normally is because of the travel restrictions and health precautions. But there are some events starting up. There is some BC Cup and Canada Cup downhills they're happening across BC. So those are a go. And, I've got a chance to do some coaching for SGC, Summer Gravity Camps. Andrew Chandro just gave me a call and asked me to do some coaching. So I got a few little gigs that are rolling in. For last year, I've just been shooting in BC. And luckily, our backyard here in BC is the best backyard in the world.
Decent, for sure.
So if you're going to be stuck anywhere, this is a good place to be stuck.
Yeah.
So very lucky that way. But, I make my living from creating content and announcing and coaching and guiding and whatever I can do to put food on the table.
Yeah.
So limiting yourself to being domestic is not the end of the world, but it's not what normally is when you're globetrotting. And
it's not like the old days where you're going to just be able to go explore a new zone in BC and get a bike, 14-page feature out of it or something like that.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Because kids are doing that now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's so competitive.
Yeah.
It's a fun job, and everyone wants to do it, of course, and have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And so being able to go international and pick and choose and create a plan and follow through and execute, safely and effectively with good exposure, as well as having some fun along the way.
Yeah.
Is definitely a skill. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back out there. I miss all the family crew, the family tribe or whatnot, and seeing everybody and mixing with different people from different mountains. So if we can do it safely and everything's good to go, then I'm good to go. Basically for these first few races will be in Western Canada. I don't know about heading to any danger spots, not only just for potential health, situations, but also for media backlash, of being a bad person.
Yeah. Does that affect you? I mean, you're well known as a kind, happy, friendly dude, but the media landscape's definitely changing. Do you get people giving you a hard time in this new social media era that you maybe wouldn't have half a decade ago?
Not very often, but sometimes I got a private message the other day going, hey, there's travel restrictions right now. It's not cool to be shooting in Kamloops.
Right.
And I wrote back and I go, these are from ages ago, and this is old content, that I'm just posting up, so this is actually not from now.
Yeah.
And I rarely actually post things up real time anyway, so people don't know when I'm home and I'm not home.
Totally.
Just because I have a family at home and
keep them guessing.
Yeah, so I just kind of just.
Was there ever that sort of you mentioned there were some dark days in your personal story. Were there ever a sort of backlash about being a shitty role model or not, you shouldn't be out in the backcountry right now because it's an avalanche danger and my kid looks up to you, has that ever played a role in your career?
Well, a little bit. You are in a situation to create, a role model situation. And so you have to be conscious of what you say and do. But I haven't had really a backlash from people. I've had a few private messages, hey, you're riding a lot of power. you should do like a safety thing every now and then about conditions. And I'm
Right.
like, yeah, you're right. So,
Yeah.
and I will, if it's, high or moderate,
Yeah.
I'll just give a little heads up every now and then,
And that
or sometimes
it's-
to report what you've seen, what you see, but I do it organically.
Yeah.
And, my left hamstring is cramping right now.
Uh-oh.
Whoa, I'm going to do the stretch it out there.
Stretch it out. Yeah, the reason I bring it up is it's just from, speaking with people, it feels like there's a bit of a discrepancy between, the way the public treats female athletes and male athletes. And I was just wondering if, your experience has generally been mostly positive with your fans. Let's
Yeah,
call
mostly
them.
positive. Yeah, there's always going to be someone out there, 1 out of 100,000 people is going to have an opinion, and they're going to speak out about it. And everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
And I respect that. So I try and answer everyone, and as long as they're nice about it, then they're going to get a nice answer and an honest answer.
Yeah.
So, there's definitely people who have compromised health situations themselves or live with someone who has, like elderly people or whatnot. So I can respect people and people who have lost people. It's real. It's not a joke. Maybe it's not as bad as everyone saying, but maybe it's, not maybe it's real too, right?
Yeah. And, it gets real fast too.
It gets real fast when it's someone close to you that gets very sick and maybe lose someone. And, I know people who have actually died, from health complications from it. And I just went to a drive-through service the other day from someone who had lung issues and gnarly, tough rugby player,
Right.
Lee Demons, and it's real. So you do what you can, and try not to promote a irresponsible set of choices.
Yeah.
And
Take her as she comes.
surf it out as best you can. Have some fun and provide some information and some inspiration, and don't break the rules, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a tough line to walk, eh?
Yeah. And I mean, I guess, there's always a silver lining in things, but you've been able to be home a little bit more than usual this past year. And,
Very thankful for that,
And be with your kids. And
A lot of time with my family, driving my wife crazy.
Yeah.
For sure. Being home all the time. But a lot of time with my kids, which is awesome. And a lot of time to ride trails that I haven't ridden forever that, I've revisited, or finding new trails to ride and whatnot. And staying healthy. So that's a good thing. Actually, did you hear about the guy in the hospital with the oxygen mask?
I think I might have heard about this guy.
Yeah, he said to the nurse, he mumbled through the mask, "Will you check to see if my testicles are black?" And she's like, "Sir, I'm just here to give you a sponge bath on your feet."
Yeah.
And he mumbles through the mask again, "I said, will you check to see if my testicles are black?" She goes, "Fine, okay." Lifts up his gown, moves everything over, inspects his testicles, north, east, west, south, puts everything back, pulls the gown down. She goes, "No, everything appears fine, sir." And he's like, takes off the mask. "Thank you for that, but I asked, are my test results back?"
There we go. We've got some good COVID humor. That's a karma there, that cough. What's, as for a young kid, that wants to, that looks at you and says, "Hey, listen, I'm going to just ride as hard as I can on board or bike or both or whatever." Any little tips or tricks? I know you had to really make it happen for yourself back in the day. Some of the traveling, sleeping in bus stops and stuff. What do you say to kids when they're like, "Hey, how do I become like Brett, the next Brett Tippie?"
Oh, wow. You got to know when to say no. You got to really make wise choices. Like, it sometimes takes a bigger man to say no. You can't do anything if you're hurt. And you have to know when you can do something and when you can't. And when it's time to pull the trigger, commit and do it. But if it doesn't feel right, or your bike's not working exactly right, or if you're feeling a little bit sketchy, or if it's windy or whatever, if something doesn't feel right, trust your gut instincts. Trust yourself. Either way, if people are saying, "No, don't do it, it's crazy," if you think you can do it, do it. Trust yourself, And if it doesn't feel right and people are like, "Yeah, give her, it's easy," if it doesn't feel good to you, trust yourself.
Yeah.
It always pays to immerse yourself in it. Like, you gotta love it. And like the classic story of the guy sweeping the studio to get to know the scene.
Chris Christopherson's story, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That helps. And when you go to an event, a lot of sponsorships and business connections come from partying, like making connections with people. And it's not always like in the boardroom or in a meeting or presenting your resume or your media deck or whatever. It's like BSing with people and talking and
face to face,
and they see how you are with people, with them, and you make bonds and connections from social situations as much as from official situations. And when you do get a foot in the door, I always try to go to an event and help the guys set up the booth, take down the booth, like just anything you can to help is noted and recorded. Not always, but it usually is. And try and use every little strategic opportunity to your advantage and be positive, be happy. As Canadians, we're quite modest, so sometimes you got to blow your own horn, but you don't want to be a bragger either,
Yeah.
So you got to find the right balance of selling yourself without being full of yourself. I remember bragging to my grandpa as a young guy about football, and I was like talking about how I had the most tackles of my team in the last 3 games, and he goes, Brett, you're bragging. I go, it's not bragging, it's true. And he goes, Brett, when you know you're good? I go, when, Grandpa? He goes, you're good when other people tell you you're good. If you're telling people that you're good, you're probably not that good.
Yeah.
But when people are telling you you're good, that's when you know you're good. And I was like, thanks, Grandpa.
Yeah. Good wise words from the old generation.
Yeah, man. Like hard work and good choices, and keeping your equipment ready to go. Wax skis, wax boards, sharp edges.
Yeah.
Tuned bike. Getting everything ready the night before. The Richie Sleigh, match your goggles to your gloves, look good.
Look visible.
Look visible.
Don't wear green if you're biking in front of a bunch of trees.
Exactly. Camouflage is not the best, most cover apparel.
Yeah.
What else can I say? Just reach out to people. People like it when you're earnest, and look for opportunities where you can get exposure or get good results, whatever it takes to get sponsored and to try and make a living. Or maybe it's not sponsorship, but maybe it's just into the industry and be able to make an income from it. Be hungry, be helpful.
Yeah. Well, hey, it worked for you.
It's working so far. Yeah. I'm still in the game somehow at 52. I can't believe it.
in 2 games. It's as good of a place to leave it there, but I know you just talked about Richie again, and I think about that original kind of cluster of you guys, like changing the game. Do you get to ride with Richie and Wade or some of those old school guys that often? Or
I normally do because, I do shoots. And so Richie and I usually hook up in say right now at this time of year, we would be in Riva de Garda, Italy. And there's the biggest European outdoor mountain bike festival that happens. And then normally, when I'm on a trip, I try and make use of my time to maximize it. So that when I go for the festival and mingle with the people and go to booths of my sponsors and whatnot, I also try and do a photo shoot at the beginning and a photo shoot at the end to make the travel time as advantageous as possible away from my family and provide value for my sponsors and myself. And so I usually do a shoot with him and then right around before or after Rampage, I usually do a shoot down in Utah somewhere and do some funky stuff. Like this stuff is always like those it's always nice to do Utah shoots. So I ride with Richie usually a few times a year for sure, except for when he's living in the States in Laguna. Wade I ride with periodically. Recently I've gone dirt biking with him. I just picked up a dirt bike and he's gotten back into dirt biking, so we've gone out in the rain. Went to McNutt the other day, which is super technical and gnarly, and he brought a friend of his who bought his old dirt bike, who has never dirt bike before, and Wade brought him to some gnarly trails, and I could just see the poor guy sweating and scared but being brave, and he was just worked. And Wade's like, "Isn't this fun? Isn't this fun?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." I felt so bad for the guy. He was so gnarly. But yeah, it's nice to ride with him. Andrew Chandro was there at some old G's,
Yeah.
I love riding with the OGs and the young guys. It's like, I'm lucky in my position where I can ride with OGs and some old legends because I know them. And I'm lucky enough that I can ride with some young hotshots too. they got to wait for me. I'm sure the young fast guys, but they're happy enough to do that and then
Yeah.
tell some jokes and have a good time. And I get to know the talent so that when I'm actually on the mic interviewing them in different events,
Right.
you know some about them and you've bonded and you've had a moment and it's very good for your career doing interviews, or on the mic work when you actually know something about the guy.
And so does the future of mountain biking look strong? Are we in a good position for the sport, with your connections with the younger generations?
I think it looks very strong. Sales are up like crazy, as all sporting goods in the world right now. The demand is high, sales are high, and there's more and more people getting into the sport. Because they're looking for an outdoor activity you can do. You can't go to the gym. You can't do this. There's all these things you can't do because of social distancing, but you can grab a mountain bike and go out to the woods.
Yeah.
And it's happening. People are stoked and people are rediscovering biking who used to bike or discovering it anew, fresh. And as far as sales go, it's good. And I think, racing strong, free riding strong. It's all happening. It's positive, and you see the trails here, and there's people out there giving her.
Yeah,
it reminds me of the famous Yogi Berra line. No one goes to that restaurant anymore. It's way too busy. It's like the trail. Yeah, no one goes to those trails anymore. They're way too busy.
Yeah. That definitely seems to be a thing, right?
Yeah. No, it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah.
And so you can go out in the trails and see people and still be like socially distant and play by the rules, or you can go way out there in the middle of nowhere. How hard do you want to work for it to have that personal experience out there in the mountains and listen to the chirp of the birds and
The good thing about the East Coast mountains, you can always go deeper, right?
Yeah, it's like right there, not very far away is some like serious backcountry.
Yeah,
that's what's amazing. You just travel a few minutes, pedal a bit, and walk a bit, whatever you want to do, however you want to get there. Boom, you're in like serious nature with like nothing but you, some cougars, and Bigfoot.
Yeah, well,
the ultimate world champion hide and seek player.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
Only also could be the world's best cougar hunter as well.
Yeah, maybe for all we know. Yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah, maybe we're related. I don't know.
Yeah,
Bigfoot, big mouth. Who knows? I don't know.
Tippie, it's been a real treat. Thanks for coming in. Tell us again about the podcast. How do people get there? By the time this comes out, it's going to have been live already. What's the web address? What platforms is it on?
You can find the exact details on Instagram at Brett Tippie Podcast.
Right.
And the website will be bretttippiePodcast.com. I do believe it's being created just as we speak, and it's done with Mark Warner and I through the Low Pressure Podcast. I've got some rock stars on there. It's going to be super fun, super entertaining. I've got everyone to finish with the joke.
Yeah, perfect.
And, try to do some history of the riders and some, current plans and try to go deep into their psyche. But just lots of good entertainment. And, it'll be out probably May 25th. So it should be rocking by the time this comes out.
Totally.
So check it out, everybody. It's going to be fun.
And we've got a shameless plug. Brett Tippie starting a sort of recurring column in the Mountain Life Coast Mountains magazine. So, last issue you opened the mag with a beauty shot and some social distancing tips, and we'll see what you have planned for the summer issue.
Yeah, I've had to learn how to write again.
Yeah.
And read again, and and so I read all about the evils of partying, so I gave up reading.
Well, there we go, folks. Tune in, stay alert. And make sure you don't forget to live it up. All right. Thanks, Tippie.
Thanks very much for having me. Feet. Pleasure.
Rock and roll.
Bye, everybody. Ow!
Well, okay. Thank you, Brett Tippie. That was a lot of fun. As I didn't get a chance to mention off the top, this episode of Live It Up with Mountain Life was recorded and produced on the unceded territory of the Squamish peoples, villages, and community. And we respect and honor their history here amongst these lands. Our music comes from the fingers and mind of our old friend Adrian Gendro. And as I did mention off the top, Shirai Rules laid down the opening voiceovers. So thank you to each and all. Other than that, my name is Feet Banks, and if you're not already outside, you probably should get out there, and so should I. So until we meet again, stay safe, have fun, and live it up.